Yeah, really pleased. Friday was tough evening. We spent a couple of days reviewing it, had some really good meetings with the players, and the players stood up over the last few days and were determined to come back today and have a positive reaction and show the crowd who they are. So I thought it was really positive. We started the game, we were better in possession, we were better out of possession, more aggressive and showed more courage. Then there's a red card in the game, and does that change it? Probably, but it's not easy playing against 10 men. Sometimes that becomes even harder, especially against a South American team that probably got the ability to play with 10. So I thought we were pretty comfortable doing that. And the most pleasing aspect, we scored goals. And we created lots of chances, and that's obviously something that we haven't been able to do all the time. So yeah, really pleasing in lots of different aspects tonight. We wanted to win both games. We wanted to have this FIFA Series here in New Zealand in front of our home fans and have 2 victories. That's why Friday was so disappointing for the team. We don't get too carried away with tonight. We didn't get too carried away with the Finland result. We know these games are what they are, and we still know we've got a lot of work to do before the World Cup. But I think it was pleasing. I think we'll take a lot of learnings from Friday, probably more learnings from Friday than today. But I think today was very nice for the team and certain players to score goals, which was great. At the time, we've spent a week with the players. Some like Lockie, we hadn't had that time with. So we've learned things in training. We've learned a lot of them about them off the pitch. Things on Friday and things today. So I don't think anything's sort of confirmed tonight, because there's so much football to be played. Until those decisions are made. But I think a few of them have had really good camps. Soon we're in contact with the wider group of players that we monitor. So there's a lot of players getting the same message. These guys were here with us, but they're not receiving different messages to players that are not here, including Chris Wood, and other players on that long list. So we'll be close to confirming our pre-World Cup schedule soon, because we're close to confirming another game. And then we'll get the dates of when the squad needs to be selected by, and obviously get that out to the players and to the media, so everybody knows. They're very good players. I think they're all good players, but Joe Bell is outstanding. He's and you put him with Marco, and he helps Marco. And I thought those two tonight were amazing. Controlled the game. There's good performances across the whole pitch, but I'd say Joe Bell, Marco outstanding, Finn Sermon, Tyler Bindon outstanding, and then good performance from our fullbacks. Payne, I thought was very good. He looks like he's coming back to his full fitness, and his performance was good. Oldie at left back is the first time we've seen that. I've watched a lot of him at St Etienne playing left back, but that's the first time we've had a look at him. I thought he was very good. And then our front players, Eli, Callum, all came alive. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, we spent a good few days looking at and talking about Friday night. The players took a lot on themselves to make things right, individually and as a group. We just showed, I think, a slightly different mentality, because Friday night wasn't all bad. When you look at the game, it was a pretty even game, but they had moments. We asked our players, we need to be better in the final third. We need to be more ruthless with those moments, which we have been tonight. But yeah, everything we talked about, I feel like the players, brought tonight, and it was overall it was a better performance. I do think we'll probably gain more learnings from Friday night and Finland than tonight. It's not often I can't remember the last time we played against 10 men. I don't remember it. Some of you might, but I don't remember that ever happening. So, it's new for us, and it's not something that we would use to plan for. So I think tonight was all about attitude and mentality. I thought they brought that and did a great job. So I think probably the learnings are in Friday night.